Standard deviation, take one. All right, class, today we're going to be talking about standard deviation, how to find it, and more importantly, what it tells you at the end. Okay, so let's take a look at a problem right here. Let's say it says find the standard deviation of the test scores. So they're giving us some test scores and they want us to figure out the standard deviation. Now, when you look at standard deviation, when you look at the formula, it looks very confusing. So let me bring up the formula. There it is. The first thing is this little lowercase s, this is a Greek letter, stands for standard deviation, and this is the formula they always show. The square root of x1 minus x bar squared plus x2 minus x bar squared, all the way over to xn minus x bar squared divided by n, and like I said, take the square root. This is a very confusing formula, so let's break it down and figure out what exactly it means. First, the symbols. X bar, very important. That's the first thing we're going to find. So the first thing we're always going to do when we find the standard deviation is we're going to find the mean. And of course, mean is just a fancy word for average, and that's what they mean when they have that X bar right there. Okay, so that's going to be our first step, to find the mean. After we find the mean, we're going to subtract the mean. So subtract the mean from every score. Okay, and that's what it means up here, where it says x1 minus x bar. That's a score minus the mean. So we're going to subtract the mean from every score. Once we've done that, we're going to square all the results. And that's what it means up here where it has the little squares. Okay? Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add all the numbers from step 3. That's why you see addition between everything. Fifth thing we're going to do is divide by how many scores there were. Okay? And that's why it has this n in the bottom here, because that shows you how many scores. And the very last thing we're going to do, the sixth step, is we're going to take the square root. Okay, so let's do these 6 steps for the data set that we have. So we have some test scores, and the first thing we're going to do is find the mean. So here we go. To find the mean, remember you're going to take all the scores, you're going to add them up, 91 plus 79 plus 83 plus 67 plus 52 plus 78, and then we're going to divide by how many scores there were, and there were a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scores. So we're going to divide by 6. So let's grab a calculator and let's do that. So here we go with our calculator. So we're going to take 91, add in 79, add in 83, add in 67, then plus the 52, plus the 78, hit equals, and then we're going to divide that by 6, and we get a very nice mean of 75. And usually the mean won't come out this nicely, but for this example it did, luckily. Okay, so step 1 was to find the mean. Notice we have done that, so put a check by that, that's all good. Next thing it says is subtract the mean from every score. So what I do here is I write down all the scores, 91, 79, 83, 67, 52, and 78, and I'm going to take each of those numbers and I'm going to subtract 75 from it. So we're going to subtract 75 everywhere. And let's see what our results are. So we do 91 minus 75, that's going to give us a 16. 79 minus 75, that's going to give us a 4. 83 minus 75 is going to give us an 8. 67 minus 75 is going to give us a negative 8. 52 minus 75 is going to give me a negative 23. And 78 minus 75 is going to give me a 3. Okay, so we've subtracted the mean from every score. We have completed step 2. Next thing they want me to do is they want me to square all the results. So the 16 we're going to square, the 4 we're going to square, the 8, the negative 8, the negative 23, and the 3. Oops. Make sure we square it, don't cube it. So let's see what happens next. So 16 squared is 256. 4 squared is 16. 8 squared is 64. Negative 8 squared is also 64. Remember, the sign doesn't matter. 23 squared is going to give us 529. And 3 squared is 9. So there you go. We just did step 3 where we just squared all our results. Next thing we want to do is add all these numbers up. So we're going to add them all up. And let's see what we get. Again, the calculator can help. So we're going to take that 256, add in the 16, add in the 64, add in the other 64, add in the 529 and the 9, and let's see what we get. We get 938. Okay, So we've added all those. So the next thing it told us in step 5 was divide by how many there were. And we already knew from finding the mean that we had a total of 6 scores. So we're going to divide this by the number 6. So again, we can grab our calculator and let's see, we're going to take 938 and divide it by 6. And that gives us 156.3. And you can write down several decimals if you want. Okay, so we just divided by how many there were. So we only have one more thing to do, and luckily we still have this number on our calculator, so we're just going to take the square root. So we take the square root and we find that it's 12.5. So we are done. We have now found the standard deviation, and it's 12.5. Now let's talk about what this means. What this means is the following. The standard deviation shows how spread out the scores are. Okay, it shows, are the scores all focused in one area or are they all over the place? What we can do is use the standard deviation to predict what would happen if we were to give this test again. So if we were to give this test again to 6 people that were very similar to the ones that we had, we would expect them to have about an average of a 75, but their average could either be 12.5 points higher than that or 12.5 lower than that. So that's what the standard deviation shows. It shows if you were to give the test again, how close to this mean are you going to get? So it's either going to be 12.5 above this or 12.5 below or anywhere in between. And that is standard deviation.
Thank you.